It's been one of those days, but that's not the point. It rarely ever is in these videos. The point is Harry Potter. Enthusiasm. No, okay. 2 chapters today, and that would be the 4 champions and the weighing of the wands. We're keeping up with the pairs as we go through as long as we can. Okay, so my honest to God question on this one, overwhelmingly, is where is the oversight for all of these things? In all seriousness, something terrifically has screwed up that the Tri-Wizard Tournament has 4 people competing in it. And while we get some complaints from our other headmasters and mistresses, we don't really get a whole lot of, like, straight up this isn't fair from at least the people who could actually do things. I mean, really, the ministry's point of view on this one is it's a binding contract, so everyone will have to compete anyways. I'm concerned about a binding contract that you can be entered into against your will. Like, Harry has not had a say here, and you want to know the only person pointing that out? Moody, the guy who put him here. Literally, it takes the guy who knows he's guilty and knows exactly what he's done to be like, geez Louise, you guys. You'd think the person who would be upset was the one who was forcibly entered into this contract. Why is no one taking this seriously? Everyone else is taking offense for themselves. Like, all of the other champion headmasters and mistresses are just like, it's not fair to our school. He's 14. He doesn't want to be here. And no one believes him. But it's not just this. Literally, we have no oversight for these all-powerful things. It is not just that once your name is spewed up by the goblet that you have to enter. Apparently nobody from the other schools or ministry was there to verify Dumbledore's age line. Because everyone is suddenly just like, he screwed up the age line, and it's McGonagall going, no he didn't. If you guys were concerned about it, why wasn't a government official there to watch? You know, the thing that would be logical. Why didn't all the headmasters and mistresses watch the age line being drawn? This is the thing you're not supposed to do with a big international thing. Have closed-door meetings that nobody could verify what actually happened in. You need witnesses. These things are required in legal disputes now. Your marriage certificate's gotta be signed by witnesses. Your will's gotta be signed by witnesses. Is to avoid somebody taking advantage of these things, which is exactly what has happened here. And literally no one's considered this up to this point. Students used to die during these things. They've just got this revived, and no one sat around to, like, was just sitting there going, you know what, maybe we should have someone constantly monitoring this so that we know no one messes with things. I mean, evidently they had multiple younger students try and enter this, and they just relied on this age line to reject them. That's not how this should work. If you apparently think that you can convince an older student to enter a younger student's name for them, which is one of the assumptions people make here, then why weren't you monitoring this? If you can see those loopholes, why was this not being monitored? Because apparently it's only open for like one night. It's not like you have to monitor it for weeks on end. Give me one good reason that nobody was watching this cup. Because no one cares to take responsibility. And then they just start pointing at the 14-year-old kid. He's 14, even if he did this on purpose. He's a kid. Most of the time when we look at kids doing something stupid, we know it's because they didn't know any better. You have multiple adults here who are aware of what's going on, who are aware that it's a magically binding contract, who are aware of what the events are going to be and how screwed someone under this age line is. They take one precaution and say, that's enough. Harry, even if he entered himself, which he didn't, is not the guilty one here. Not solely. Every other adult around this situation, immensely guilty. Particularly Barty Crouch Jr., who, you know, actually did it. Barty Crouch Sr., who actually broke his son out of Azkaban, even though he knew his son was in fact guilty. And the thing is, you'd think they would learn from this. You think they would look at this 14-year-old kid and say, okay, you are now way over your head. So what can we do about it now? They don't. Like, they don't do anything at all. They make no attempt to assure the school that they are assuming that some third party has hoodwinked the cup and not Harry. They make no attempt whatsoever to stop the bullying that is blatantly happening in the school now that Harry has become a champion. They make no attempt to stop Severus Snape from his usual dickishness. And they make no attempt to stop Rita Skeeter. Straight up. I mean, Dumbledore opens the door and ends the interview, but does he demand the copy of the interview? Because, you know, Harry is 14 and thus probably should have a guardian present while speaking to the press so that he's not taken further advantage of, and oh geez Louise, look what happens. Like, Harry can't defend himself in this moment because he's not in the position to. Everyone's complaining because he's 14 and he's entered in this competition that is limited to those who are 17 and older. And yet for everything else, they're just choosing to ignore his age. Like, straight up, no, Rita Skeeter should not have been able to drag him off into a broom cupboard. That's how you get a whole lot of allegations of, oh, I don't know, sexual misconduct. Why is no one monitoring the press when you've already seen that lack of monitoring the cup has screwed this up so badly? And the answer is, it's because no one wants to take responsibility for this. Everyone's real quick to point fingers, most notably at, you know, the 14-year-old kid. But that's all the responsibility they're gonna do. I mean, Sirius seems to be trying, at least. But Sirius also is a fugitive who's on the run. Would have been nice to see Dumbledore or McGonagall step up here. But the interesting thing about those two particular characters is they simultaneously hold several positions of power. Dumbledore is the headmaster, he's got a position in the Wismagont, and he's got a position in the International Confederacy of Wizards. McGonagall is Deputy Headmistress. She is the Transfiguration Professor for the entire frickin' school, and she's the head of Gryffindor House. I'm a little concerned, especially with the lack of oversight here, that because their attention is spread so thinly between some very, very important positions, that they are letting some of them slide. It is not until much later books, when things get darker, that we see McGonagall acting officially in her head of house position. Most notably when Umbridge comes bursting in and McGonagall is talking about, you know, career advice. A little late for that, considering they choose their, like, extra courses in third year. It would be really nice to know what I need so I could pick what I need a little before I'm expected to be tested for the final time. We are seeing flaws, and flaws are to be expected, but the thing is, if you cannot hold all of these positions at once and give accurate attention to all of them, especially when a Dumbledore straight up, like, several really important positions involving education of children, the running of the local government, and the running of the international government, you know what, maybe you should focus on one of those and put your full attention into it. Like, this is the very society that we exist in, and it's the education of the next generations. But we're not seeing people looking at these problems and saying, how about we offer some solutions that aren't, we throw more kids into this, and that aren't, we railroad the kids who are already in this, and that aren't, we just rely on the, you know, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old to handle these problems, which is what we've been seeing Harry do this entire fricking series. And Rita Skeeter can just leave. But she won't, because no one's overseeing this and looking at it going, maybe her writing style and tendency to at least partially lie is a problem. Nah, 'cause we like the muckraking. It's fun to look at the people in power and the famous kids and just drag them through the mud. Why should we take responsibility when we can put all that on them? Okay! Can you see that these chapters made me really mad? Because they have so much anger. Let's see if any of these questions will be addressed going forward. I think, like many other things, this is all going to get worse before it gets better. Yay. So that's it for today's video. I'm looking at trying to get sort of a buffer built up of videos. During the summer, this isn't going to be the important thing, but if I can build enough of a buffer during the summer, that should help going forward into my MA. Which is exactly what I would like to, because we have officially passed a year's anniversary for this series, and I really want to keep it going and push all the way into the later books, because it gets interesting from here. This is technically like the middle of the series, so we're transitioning. And apparently it involves a lot of anger. Okay, so until then I'm going to keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.